Hey, what's up? My name is Tyson Brown and I want to welcome you to Tyson's Fitness Tips podcast. This is Australia's top health and fitness podcast to help you lose weight, look good with your shirt off, feel confident in your body, and finally achieve the goals you want with your health and fitness. So 5 days a week, I'm going to be giving you top information from myself and also from leading experts in the field so you know everything you need to do to get in the best shape of your life. From nutrition to mindset to workout, everything is covered in this podcast and you need to go nowhere else. So like I said, it's going to be 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, in your ears with quick actionable segments that you can implement straight away, because the most important thing is that you can put these things into play. Also, if you listen all the way to the end of the episode, you're going to get 2 special gifts that you can download upon listening to it. So make sure you listen all the way to the end to get those free gifts, okay? So let's get into the episode. Guess what? It's the final episode of Harry Potter, and I'm going to be teaching you the lessons that he taught us when you achieve your fitness goal. Sorry, I went quiet for a second because I'm still trying to think. Anyways, so over the last 6 episodes, we have talked about, for you, potions class. We've talked about Quidditch. We've talked about going home on holidays. We've talked about changing your environment to get away from the Dursleys. We've talked about, what else have we talked about? Setting your goals, like setting the goal about defeating Voldemort. And we've also talked about, we've talked about a lot in these last couple of episodes. And if you start applying all those things, if you have that goal, if you do the math, if you make sure that you change your environment, if you look at Quidditch to train, if you do those things and you do all 6 lessons that I've talked about, you are going to get the results you want, right? It's going to take longer than you think, but you will get there. Now, the most important thing is what we've talked about in the last episodes is playing the long-term game, because once you achieve that goal, you need to be able to keep it, right? So let's say you've lost the weight and you're at the weight you're happy at, you're at the body shape you're happy at. Like, what do you do from that situation? This is really important because a lot of people, they think they're going to reward themselves, they're going to relax, they're going to go back to eating the way they want, and they can go back to doing whatever they were doing, but that's what got you there in the first place. So when you're transitioning out of this phase, when you're actually finished dieting, when you're actually finished this journey, what you need to focus on is you are not finished. You are just at the beginning of the next year, right? You've just graduated year 1. Now it's year 2. So what you need to do, first of all, you've done your diet, okay? We talked about the maintenance phase. This is where you now need to calculate your new calories. So your current weight multiplied by 30. That is your new amount of calories you need to be eating every single day. So if you got down to 70 kilos, you multiply that by 30, you can now eat 2,100 calories a day. This is going to be the amount of calories you're going to need to maintain your new weight. And you want to stay there, again, this is like, let's say, a maintenance phase. You stay there for 6 to 8 weeks before you determine what you want to do from there. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go and eat all the food. You're going to want to go and just skip the gym, because if you've been doing this hard, you don't want some time off. And honestly, you shouldn't do that, because if you start to reward yourself, if you start saying I'm going to have time off, it's so easy to fall back into those bad habits because you haven't been doing this long enough to turn those old habits into the new habits. It takes a long time to build up, and once those habits, Charlie Munger said, the chains of habits are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken, right? So you can still have these old habits that are built up that you didn't think about, and if you fall back into that old trap, you're going to rebound. So what you need to do is, when you figure out that maintenance phase, what I want you to do for that week, I want you to track your food, but I also want you to have, you know how we talk about 80-20 approach? 80% of your food comes from whole nutritious food, 20% comes from less calorie good food, as in like ice cream and stuff like that. Go and do that. Follow that 80-20 approach. Even if it goes to 70-30 for that week, still make sure you're hitting those calories, but have a little bit more treat food if you want, okay? This is where you can go for a couple of beers with your mates on the weekend. This is when you can go and have that ice cream like I talked about. But we don't want to change the habits we're building, okay? So you still keep those trigger foods away from your house. You still train consistently. You still track your food over time. And what you're doing over this time is you're ingraining those habits, because when you start to ingrain those habits more and more, that's what's going to help you keep results. So many people make the mistake of thinking they can go back to their old ways, but they don't realize, they forget that the old ways is what caused them to want to lose weight in the first place. And if you remember that, if you focus on just making sure every single day you're getting better than yesterday, every single day you're ingraining those habits that you're trying to do, you're sticking to that meal prep, you're eating the right type of foods, you've got the right type of environment, you are keeping your calorie maintenance at the same, you're gonna be fine. And it's gonna be like, the more you do that, the more you repeat it, the more you do it, the more it's gonna be ingrained in here, and then it's gonna become a habit. And once it becomes a habit, you go to year 2, and that's when you get to decide what you want to do. Okay, so do you have to track calories after you've lost weight? I would suggest yes, until you know, like we talked about last time, portion sizes. Do you know what 100 grams of chicken breast looks like? Do you know what 100 grams of, like 25 grams of nuts looks like? Do you know what 1 tablespoon of peanut butter looks like? If you can do that, if you can guess that and say that's a tablespoon of peanut butter, you put a tablespoon on the scale and it's a tablespoon, then you don't have to track anymore. Then you can just simply eyeball stuff. But if you haven't gotten that yet, you still keep practicing the fundamentals, because you master the monotonous. I've talked about this in other episodes. If you master the monotonous and you do the things over and over and over again, no matter how bored you get, you will be able to ingrain those habits, and it will become like second nature. And until it becomes second nature, you don't stop it, okay? Because when it gets to a grind, when it gets boring, when it feels like it's getting hard, that's when you need to keep going. That's when you know it's starting to get pushed up in here. Because the more bored you get, you're like, when you start to get bored, it's because it's not exciting anymore. And it's because it's not stimulated as much. But what it's doing is it's slowly wiring those motor neurons in your head to solidify and to make them bigger, right? Because neurons that fire together wire together. So you got to think about, if you're firing the same neurons every single day, when you meal prep, when you track your food, when you eat that healthy food, when you train, what that's going to do is it's going to strengthen the myelin sheaths in your brain. And when you strengthen the myelin sheaths, what happens then is that you are going to be able to develop the habits better and better. It's actually a really good book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, which I really recommend you read to learn how to ingrain these habits. And it's basically what I've been talking to you about in the last couple of episodes. It's like, doing those things, but ingraining them. So once you know, like if you know what portion sizes look like, if you can estimate and then it relates to the food scale, you don't need to use the food scale anymore. You follow the 80-20 approach. You make sure you still stick to your meal prep. Like there are still certain fundamentals you need to do. Like if you look at the top athletes in the world, they still do this stuff. They may not weigh their food, but they still exercise every day. They still eat the right amount of food every day. They still go and have that 80-20 approach, because you see athletes out there and they're in restaurants and stuff like that. They're a little bit more lenient, but they have those habits ingrained. And the same thing needs to happen for you. You just need to be a little bit, like you can back off a little bit, but not too much. Don't go backwards. Don't let the scale start trickling back up. Don't fall into the habits of your old self, okay? So you got to remind yourself, like you got through the hard part. Now the maintenance part is going to feel like it's tough because it's boring, because it's repetitive, because it's monotonous, but I guarantee you that stuff is what's going to solidify. And that second year is all about solidifying those habits, right? Get those habits into place. You can find a new workout routine. You can change up your diet a little bit, as in like you can change your meal plan, stuff like that. I mean, you should be if you want to anyways. Have a little bit more fun, have a little bit more free time. But as long as your weight doesn't start, like if it creeps up by like, a pound, 2 pounds, don't stress. But if you start to see that, like you need to keep weighing yourself too. I would highly suggest that you still do your measurements on a fortnightly basis, still take your photos on a fortnightly basis, weigh yourself on a daily or 3 days or 5 days a week, whatever you're gonna do, so you know that your weight's in check. Because the more you track, like I said, like we've talked about this in the first one, the more you measure when it comes to a SMART goal, the more information you're going to have. And so you need to know, are you staying on track? Like if you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh shit, my belly's starting to come back, you've got to start cutting things out again. Because it's so easy to fall back into those bad habits. It's so easy to get lenient again. And what happens is when you fall off track, that's when everything goes backwards. And I don't want you to go backwards. I don't want you to put in the last, let's say 32 weeks. Let's say the last year you've put in a dieting and all of a sudden everything starts to go backwards. You do not want that. Like that would be even after I did my photo shoot, because I went so strict, I gained another 4 kilos. Like I was like, boom, straight back up. Now a lot of it's water weight, but still, like it didn't have to be that much. And it's just because I went too strict for my photo shoot, and it was because it was just really quick and we had to take some pretty drastic protocols. But like you don't have to do that, and so don't do that. Now, with all that being said, with all those implementations of the 6 lessons, okay, setting your goals, making sure you're tracking your calories, making sure you're changing your environment, making sure you're playing the long-term game, going and taking rest periods, all those things. What you need is, if you need help implementing all this stuff, and that's what my online coaching is for. My online coaching is for people exactly like you who want to make fitness as simple and as easy as possible. So the goal setting, the calories, the nutrition, the training, all those things, I will do that all for you. And all you've got to do is you've got to log into my app and you follow exactly what I tell you to do. You ask me questions when you get stuck. You keep motivated when I help you go. You have organized diet breaks. You have organized, not meal plans, but nutritional guidance. Everything you need to get you on the right track and to make your next 16 weeks of dieting successful. So if you need help with this, all I want you to do is I want you to reply to this and DM me. Say, Tyson, I need help, or I'm interested, I want to learn more about the program, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. And if you're keen and you want to get started and you just want to book in a call, then go to tysonbrown.com.au/online coaching, just as it sounds, online coaching, and you can fill out a form and it'll ask you to book in a time. And once you book in a time, we're going to jump on the phone, we're going to talk about exactly how I can help you achieve your goals and smash them in 2019. Because you can go and do this all by yourself, or you can have someone who knows all the expertise, who has it all up here, and tell you exactly what you need to do to keep you on track, to keep you motivated, to make fitness easy, and to make it maintainable. Okay, so once again, send me a DM, go to tysonbrown.com.au/online coaching and sign up, and I'll speak to you soon. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. So now you've listened all the way to the end. That means you get some free goodies. So what you can do is you've got two different options, or you can take them both. I've got an intermittent fasting cheat sheet and a high protein 20 recipe meal guide designed specifically for you in your situation. These meal plans and this intermittent fasting guide is designed to help you burn stubborn belly fat and get in the best shape of your life. So all you have to do is go to the show notes, click on the download link, and they'll get sent straight to your email address. It's as simple as that. They're completely free. They're going to help you transform your body. So go to the show notes now and download your free guides, and I'll speak to you in the next episode.